Hey everyone, and welcome to Awesome Jacob Radio. I'm Jacob Sanders, and I know that the name of the channel is called Awesome Jacob TV, and that's because the main thing I upload to this channel are videos, and that's kind of my main focus. But recently, being in college and all, I haven't had much time to make too many of them. So I thought I'd try my hand at radio because two reasons. One, it's a lot simpler and a lot easier to make, so I can make a lot more of them and upload them more frequently. And two, I think a lot of people underestimate the power of a voice and how it's so simple yet it can be so powerful. So that's kind of the thing. And on this show, we're going to be talking about, with the different episodes and whatnot, we're going to be talking about, just random stuff. They don't necessarily have to be related or anything. So, anything goes here. So, anyways, today I'd like to talk about Star Wars: The Force Awakens, one of my all-time favorite movies, and it holds a special place in my heart because this is actually the movie where I proposed to my fiance. Thankfully, she said yes. Of course, we're getting married next year. We're planning. This movie changed the game of the Star Wars franchise because it introduced it to an entirely new generation. It continued the story in a way that I didn't think was possible. When I first heard they were going to make a new Star Wars movie, I honestly thought to myself, why? Why can't they just leave well enough alone, you know? I mean, as much of a fan as I am of Star Wars, and believe me, I am a huge fan. At first, I wasn't really looking forward to it. I was thinking they're taking too many risks with this, especially when I found out that Disney was going to be the one making it. I was not happy about that. Say what you want, I'm not the biggest Disney fan, but I can honestly say I was proven wrong. The movie was fantastic. I'm not sure if I would say it's my favorite Star Wars movie. It's probably tied between Force Awakens and Revenge of the Sith. I'm still trying to decide. But the movie, I really enjoyed it, and it had so many good characters in it and storylines. So I'm going to talk about some of that today. First, let's talk about Rey. She's the main character of the whole movie. To be honest with you, at first, I was not a big fan of Rey. She didn't seem to have much of a character to me. But as I really thought about it, and as I watched the movie, she kind of grew on me, and I saw, here's this young woman. She has lost everything, and she's just, barely surviving. She hardly knows anything about her past. And she actually surprised me in how much she rose to the occasion and delivered a pretty good performance, actually. Her character is something that I don't really think we've seen too much in Star Wars, because she has so many different aspects to her. Like she knows how to fly a spaceship whenever she gets behind one. She's multilingual, as you see in the scene. She's just an all-around, well-rounded character, in my opinion. Now, the Finn was, for me, a breath of fresh air into the Star Wars franchise. He really did a good job. He was, I believe, what the franchise needed. He is, he's confident, kind of, and but he's not too confident where he just comes across as a jerk. And I like this. I like the angle where they see what a stormtrooper would go through, and that's something we've never seen in a Star Wars movie before. Because in all the other movies, the troopers are just kind of glanced over as they're just generic soldiers, but here we actually get to look inside the life of a stormtrooper and kind of see that inner struggle, and I really like that, and it's done beautifully. And then when he finally leaves the First Order, Finn is actually a really funny guy and a really really good character, and I was very surprised with that. And it was I thoroughly enjoyed John Boyega's performance. It was very, very well done. Very good casting. Poe Dameron. What can I say about Poe Dameron? He is, in my opinion, he's the new Han Solo of the new Star Wars franchise. He's funny, he's confident, and he's kind of like Finn in a way. But Finn has like the personal inner struggle that we all see. Poe is just all around. He knows what he's doing for the most part, and the chemistry he has with Finn is phenomenal, and the way he interacts with everyone, it is very, very well done. And I really, really loved his performance. Like in the beginning of the movie, where he's just staring down Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren is like, how he has him surrounded, he has nowhere to go, and he just starts joking with Kylo Ren, like, you know, it's Poe Dameron. I'm telling you, you can't really say that much about him because he's just that cool. Which leads us to BB-8. To be honest with you, I am not a fan of BB-8, the little robot. I feel that they are trying to replace R2-D2. Now, I know that they're trying to, market this to a new generation, but R2-D2 is a timeless character. I mean, you can't just replace him with another guy. And I know that R2-D2 appears in the film, sorta, but I mean, I think they underused him, and they're trying to do out with the old and into the new a little too much in that sense. So BB-8, I'm not a fan. I liked the design, but I don't like how they're trying to make him the new droid of Star Wars. Speaking of out with the old, in with the new, Han Solo was, for me, the best part of The Force Awakens. Because he represented the original trilogy, and I love how The Force Awakens transitioned from the original trilogy to the next trilogy. It was it was very well done, I believe. But Han Solo, we actually get to see how he's gone back to being a smuggler, and he's doing what he's done best. And not since A New Hope have we seen this side of Han Solo, where he's just doing just doing his thing, being a smuggler. We've seen him be a rebel, a friend of the rebels, and he's always helping them out. And here, when we first meet him again in The Force Awakens, he's just smuggling, and we see the kind of like the streetwise Han Solo that he is. And throughout the movie, he actually demonstrates, how a little bit more maturity than he did in the original trilogy, which I think was very good. And then he kind of takes Rey under his wing, and she inherits the Falcon, of course. So let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. The biggest part of The Force Awakens was the death of Han Solo. Whenever I saw that in the theaters opening night, you could hear a pin drop. That's how intense that moment was, because no one saw it coming. I mean, here you got Han Solo, probably one of the most famous characters in all of cinematic history, and he's gone. And what I think really sets this apart from other deaths in Star Wars is, number one, he was one of the more well-known because he was in the original trilogy. He was the first original trilogy member to die, that survived all of the three originals, and he was the first to die in the new ones. Second, it was, I can't even describe it. I mean, wow. I mean, a moment like that it's indescribable of how big it was. And and another thing that made it unforgettable and truly truly tragic is that in Star Wars, most of the people that die, they come back as like Force ghosts. Like when Yoda died, he comes back as a Force ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi. But with Han Solo, he has no connection to the Force. He can't do that. So when you see Han Solo dies, he's gone. He's not coming back. And so that, I believe, puts a really big finality to his character. And speaking of Han Solo's death, let's talk about Kylo Ren. I loved Kylo Ren. I loved the performance Adam Driver gave. That was an awesome, awesome performance. And I know a lot of people give Kylo Ren a bad rep because they see he's like a whiny little kid and throws temper tantrums, and I can kind of see that. I can see that. I can agree with that. But the inner turmoil that Kylo faces throughout the movie is clear. The performance that Adam Driver gives clearly shows all the struggles he's going with as he's struggling between the light side and the dark side. I actually felt the inner turmoil inside of Kylo Ren. And to know that he is Han Solo and Leia's son, that adds a whole nother depth to it. And when he finally kills his father, you could feel even more the struggle he's going through, because he even says it. He knows what he has to do, and he doesn't know if he has the strength to do it. And so you see that from the very beginning. You see the transformation and the wheels turning and everything just fighting inside of him. And so, can Kylo Ren be a little immature? I believe so. But you can't deny that the struggle he goes through is actually there, and he is fighting. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this trilogy he turns to the light side and ends up fighting Snoke, but I digress. Finally, I want to talk about Luke. Luke was probably the best kept secret in this movie. He only has about maybe 20 seconds of screen time. At the very end, he doesn't say a word. Rey walks up the mountain. She hands him his lightsaber, and he just turns around, and that's when the movie ends. And it was so fitting because it lets you know, yeah, there's more coming. So I really liked that. And despite the fact that he wasn't in it, I believe Luke was the biggest character of the story, because the whole story practically revolved around him. Everyone's trying to get the map to find him, and and that's what everyone's trying to find BB-8, which leads to this big battle and everything. And the fact that a plot device so big is in the movie so little, it demonstrates, less is more. And I like the mystery that surrounds it and how they keep it a secret for so long, and then at the very end they let you know, yeah, this is happening. So, yep. Star Wars The Force Awakens. Absolutely incredible. Now, I've heard a lot of people say it's similar to A New Hope, and I can agree with that. When I saw it in theaters, I thought, this seems very familiar. So, but here's my take on that. They got to stick with what they know works. They're trying to, and I know they're trying to recapture everything from the original trilogy. So, with that, they need to, I think they decided to stick with what they know just to prove that they could do it. And then from there, they can keep developing everything. And, there's a lot of differences between Force Awakens and A New Hope. And I like the differences they put in there. They didn't just remake Episode 4. They continued the story. And that's really good for a new generation, because they can see this, and then the parents can then show the new generation the original films and kind of show them where it all came from. And it is, and then they can go from there. And I just really, really liked it. In my opinion, it's well deserving of all the praise it gets. Very, very well put together film. Very, very good casting. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage it. Well, by this point, I guess I've spoiled it all for you. But let's face it, you know you've already seen this movie. Practically everyone has, but and with good reason. So, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, one of the best movies I've ever seen. I'm Jacob Sanders. Thank you for tuning in.